I just turned 50. We all know what that means, being a woman. It is a very transitional period in our lives. I'm trying to educate myself constantly on not how can I defy age, because I don't want to do that. What is important to me is like, how can I set myself up for the best possible future, Carrie, from a health span and a longevity span. I just really want to go into my 50s, 60s, and beyond feeling strong, feeling sturdy.
All right, welcome to the Fit Vegan Podcast. I'm your show host, Maxime Sigouin, and I'm the founder and CEO of Fit Vegan Coaching, a company that is on a mission to help 10,000 people get lean, thrive, and reduce their risk of chronic illnesses by 2033 and 1 million by 2050. I believe that having a fit, healthy body and mind is the foundation to living an incredible life, and this is what the show will give you if you choose to listen and implement. Enjoy the episode and have a great day. All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Fit Vegan Podcast. Today, I am joined by a Fit Vegan Superstar, Carrie. Carrie, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing, Maxim?
Good. You like the title, Superstar?
I mean,
it's a good one.
Just it can only go downhill from here at this point. So.
We've set the bar high.
I know.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for us to chat because we connected maybe like a few months ago through RIP, Playing Strong, and then you decided to kind of join our program. So I definitely want to talk a little bit about kind of your journey and how it kind of has been in the program and kind of what you've been seeing. But first, let's dive into like the origin source. Like, what made you want to go vegan originally?
Oh man. Well, if I
and
can,
how long has it been?
Yeah, so I've been vegan slash plant strong slash whole food plant based, whatever name you want to give it. I honestly don't care. I do call myself a proud vegan when it comes to eating. 15 years I've been vegan.
Nice.
So I jokingly say I became vegan before Beyonce became vegan, you know, before it became cool, and now it's not cool, and then it becomes cool again. I don't know. But if I could back up just even several years prior to that, and just give a little background on my own health journey. So I grew up in Ohio, and I'm the youngest of 5, and I'm the only girl. So I have 4 older brothers, and then I came along, and so busy household, lots of activity. I was always athletic, you know, into sports, super tomboy, just because I had 4 big brothers, and so I wasn't the one playing with Barbies. Energy. I mean, just lots of. I mean, I was on the football field with all the guys, and so I've always been a very athletic person. But as I got older and became, you know, teenager, high school, college, I actually became pretty overweight and sedentary. I mean, I played sports in high school, up through high school. I played field hockey and played basketball, but like beyond just what I did on the field or on the court, that was it. And so my diet was terrible. I mean, just abysmal, super fast food diet. In high school, that's when I started to drink beer, and, you know, you're just doing all that stuff. And you don't like, of course I wasn't associating weight and health and longevity and how I wanted to be in my 20s or 30s or 50s or whatever. But then I just started to have like some health issues, and it was mostly like mental health and some depression. I knew that in my mid-20s, because I was still in Ohio at this point, that I just did not like the person that I was becoming, both physically and emotionally. I was kind of an angrier person, and just my disposition changed, and I've always prided myself on being upbeat and funny and humorous, but I was just becoming bitter and resentful. And again, I wasn't really appreciating that might have something to do with like my self-esteem. I just thought that the world was out to get me. But I ended up moving to Austin, Texas when I was 25 to take a job. And that changed everything for me, because I came to Austin, and one of the first things that I remember was looking around, and we have this beautiful, beautiful trail system right in the middle of downtown. gorgeous lake. And I remember walking around and sticking out like a sore thumb because I was like, does everyone exercise in this city? I mean, the trail,
That's
and it
what
was
I
like a
heard.
Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
packed. And I was like, there must be a 5K or something going on because
yeah.
everyone's out. And I knew like right away that like this town, which is now a big city, but at the time, 25 years ago, this town is going to do something to me. And so I really felt like that was a rebirth in many ways. And to shorten the story, I did end up joining some running groups here in Austin, and then I joined a triathlon group here in Austin, and the rest really writes itself because now the health and fitness industry has become my career, and the transition to whole food plant based happened serendipitously, I would say. In 2009, I was heavy into running and triathlon, as I still am. And I had done an Ironman, I had done multiple half Ironmans, I had done many marathons, and so I was a tried and true endurance athlete who prided myself on being quote unquote healthy. Well, I went to get my annual exam and blood draw and all the things, and my cholesterol came back as almost 300, the total cholesterol. And my
Yeah.
LDL, which most of us know is like the bad LDL, was really elevated. And my doctor at the time, my general practitioner here in Austin, he actually said at the time, have you ever thought of becoming more vegetarian or eating a more plant-based? He probably didn't say plant-based, but I remember him saying vegetarian diet because I remember the wall just went right up. And I was like, oh, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no, no. I'm not here to get that advice from you. Just like, and he was great. And I mean, what doctor says that? Now I look back and I'm like, wow, everyone should have that doctor.
Yeah. Especially back
But
then too.
yes, I mean, 15 years ago, and he actually said, like, I can put you on a statin. I don't want to because of your activity levels and things like that. Like, I could easily put you on a statin, but I encourage you to make some changes in your diet in order to see what happens. Um, and I was still resistant, Maxim. I was just like, yeah, 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 whatever. I live in Austin. We eat barbecue and queso, and my
Yeah. Out of
weight had
all
gotten
places to
better.
go vegan.
Right, right. Yeah, right in the heart of Texas. Imagine that. Well, as now we all know, there was also this other guy in Austin, Texas, this firefighter guy named Rip Esselstyn, who was also a professional triathlete, who was writing the book, The Engine 2 Diet. And the Engine 2 Diet came out in 2009, about the same time that this was all happening in my world. And so I got a copy of his book, and he and I knew a lot of the same people through the athletic community, but he and I did not know each other. And I was a huge fan as soon as I read the book, and I thought, let me do this. Let me just try the Engine 2 diet. I'm going to do it for Lent. Okay. Like good Catholic
Yeah.
girl. I can do this for 40 days or whatever. And no joke, in that 40 days that I did the Engine 2 plan, which is essentially a strict plant-based diet, um,
Yeah.
my cholesterol dropped 60 points, and my weight dropped about 10 pounds. And a couple of months after that, I did my second Ironman and shaved about 45 minutes off of my total time,
Wow.
from the previous one. And I just thought, like, what more do I need? What proof do I need? What other proof do I need that things are trending in the right direction? And so that is my origin story of how I became plant based. And it was really, I have Rip Esselstyn and his work to thank for that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And out of all places to go vegan, Austin was the place, which is
Yeah.
very interesting. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's got its like, Austin, Texas obviously has its stereotypes of,
yeah. But
big
so many
cowboy,
vegans are
lots of
there.
meat.
Like
Yeah.
a lot of the big vegan doctors are there now. Like a lot of friends that we have in common live there. So I think there's a big
Hmm.
vegan community now.
It is. Austin is certainly different than a lot of Texas, and I do think that there's a lot of a lot more open minds here. Um, Restaurants certainly cater to a plant-based diet. There are certainly some really great places. Some of them healthier than others, of course.
Yeah.
And but yet, like, I never have trouble finding food for me anywhere I go. Really.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, I'm happy we get to kind of uncover the origin story.
Yeah.
So, obviously, you and I met through kind of me jumping on Rip's podcast, and we sort of have a conversation from there. And so, I'm curious, like, what made you want to look into working with us, and then we'll kind of dive into your journey.
Sure. Yeah, great question. So I'm also at a time in my life and in my personal journey, my personal health journey, where I just turned 50 this well last year. I'll be 51 this year, and we all know what that means. Being a woman, it is a very transitional period in our lives, and I am trying to educate myself constantly on not how can I defy age, because I don't want to do that. Like I don't want to turn the clock back. I don't want to, I don't want to get mad if I can't PR a 5K anymore. Like I'm not living for that. What I am
Yeah.
living for is like, how can I set myself up for the best future, Carrie, and future proof myself. I don't care if I don't PR a 5K again. Like that is not important to me. But what is important to me is like, how can I set myself up for the best possible future, Carrie, and from a health span and a longevity span, and really like sort of not bulletproof myself for disease necessarily, because there are no guarantees, and I don't think that
Yeah.
there's a panacea to any of that. I don't think that there is one answer that's going to solve all of that. But like I just really want to go into my 50s, 60s and beyond feeling strong, feeling sturdy. And there are a lot of programs out there, Maxim, as you know. The
Yeah.
internet is flooded with programs on getting strong and building muscle. And but what intrigued me about yours is getting to know you personally is I think important, because your story is a good one, and it is an authentic one. And whether or not behind the scenes you're laughing because you're like, ha ha ha, we have the world fooled. I believe what you say when you say, I want to help people.
Well, hey,
Uh,
it's for real because I had a call with my life coach this morning and I was still crying about some of the trauma from going through the cancer journey. So it's
yeah.
very, it's very, very real.
Yeah, and I believe that. And so I think first of all that was important to me because you are an authentic human being. The other thing that was important to me is you are coming at this from a whole food plant-based perspective, in
Hmm.
saying that you can change your body composition, you can build lean muscle on a whole food plant-based diet, and guess what? We're not going to starve you. And also, we want you to try to avoid becoming crazy obsessed with macros and perfection. Like these are all triggers for me and a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because I did come from a background where I was very overweight. And so when I hear things about like trying to control macro counts or even calorie counting, like I have to go away from that, because I
Yeah.
truly believe that a whole food plant-based diet provides everything that I need if I do it correctly, provided that I do
Yeah.
it correctly, and then provided that I start to build in some of these strength programs that you offer and these strength regimes. Or it's that's it was a big package for me, um to buy into to all of it. And I'm talking a lot, but I don't want to miss the point of the other thing that's also really what I have found good about it so far is it's these are different movements that I'm used to doing. So I love to lift heavy, no question. I do love to do bench press. I love to do deadlift. If I could ever do it correctly without my back hurting, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
These are things that you haven't prescribed yet, but like I also love to back squat. I like the heavy lifts. Um,
Yeah.
but I also what I hadn't really been doing is just um, some of the other exercises, and you can talk more about why you program those, but things that actually slow me down and allow me to, when I go to the gym, I'm so used to like lifting heavy, or if I'm going to the track, I'm so used to trying to run hard or push an interval on the bike, everything. I feel like I grew up in this time where everything had to be so hard. And now when I look at my
Harder,
day,
faster. Yeah.
longer, like,
Yeah.
and I'm just not in that phase anymore. Now, granted, I'll go to the track tomorrow and I'll try to rip my own face off, but like, but when I go to the gym to do your strength, it's almost a little respite. It's almost like a calming of my, parasympathetic system. Like I'm like, oh, okay, this is good because I can make a mind body connection with the movements.
Yeah, yeah. So referring to, I refer to them as like accessory work, right? So things
There
that
you
would
go.
be
Yeah.
outside of compound movements, like you mentioned, a
Yes.
deadlift, a squat, a bench press, an overhead press. The reason why we put them in there, to be honest with you, is because those accessory muscles and those other muscles that are being worked indirectly through you doing a compound movement, like a squat, a deadlift, and a bench press, they still need a little bit more love than what we give them. So
Mm-hmm.
when you do a bench press, right, you're engaging your tricep, but you're not working your tricep, and like your lats are engaged as well. They're not engaged as much as if you were to train them directly. And in order for them to get enough tension, to get enough growth, you would like really, really have to go really heavy on the bench press, which, two things, maybe the chest can't handle that much weight to put that
Mm-hmm.
much stressor on those secondary muscles. And then second, you're way more likely to injure yourself because the weight is so heavy. And so if
Yes.
we can, focus on some of those compound movements, get some good growth out of them because they work more of the overall body, and then go and isolate more of those other muscles, you'll get better overall growth of lean muscle mass in all those areas without necessarily having to go super heavy and increasing your risk of injury. And you're right, there is more of a calming effect to it than going in and trying to remember your darkest moment in your life so you can lift the freaking weight because it's so heavy, right?
Yes. Yes. Like I'd put on Guns N' Roses or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
yeah,
like, yeah, no, now I can go to the gym on certain days. I mean, I do certainly challenge myself with the weights when I
of course.
can and when it's
Yeah,
appropriate to do so. But there are certain those accessory movements where I'm like, oh, this is actually relaxing, and I can actually just listen to a podcast and take my
yeah.
1 minute break in between each set, and it's just a nice change of pace, I think, for somebody whose brain has been on this endurance overdrive for so long. And so that's, I am finding in certain enjoyment from doing that, just complete change of pace for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we talk about Guns N' Roses and music. You ever listen to? I think it's called "Disturbed," "Down with the Sickness."
I've
You know,
probably heard it. I don't
uh,
know. I've probably
you
heard it.
you should just be on Spotify or Apple. But
Okay.
there's a part where it just like builds up, and the guy just like screams, and it's just the most like I need to lift something heavy moment. That's my go-to song when I need to have heavy workouts. Like I have the list there, and I just wait for the moment to come, and then I time it, and then I'll do my lift. So,
I love it.
anyways,
Yeah,
yeah,
well, this morning I was doing a bike workout on Zwift, and I was just doing 30-second like VO2 max intervals. So not long, but pushing myself. And I was listening to 90s hip hop. So I was listening to Cypress Hill and all that
yeah.
stuff. So yeah,
Nice. I was on Zwift this
yeah.
morning too. I did a
Okay.
45-minute bike workout.
Okay. Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I obviously want to talk about kind of how it's been for you in the program and all the changes that you've seen, but I think you brought up an interesting point that I don't get to talk often with members because not every member has a background in endurance sports, right?
Hmm.
Like it's a very intense lifestyle to train for and to compete in that way. And typically the mindset that comes along with training for that or wanting to do these races is like, yeah, more is better, harder, longer, the more volume, the more intensity, like it's more is always going to be better. But the philosophy that we approach for transformation is like, less is actually better, because let's just be efficient, get the job done, and use the rest of the time we have to recover. And so I just want to ask you, like, did you ever have periods in your life where you kind of abused the training and you were just like exhausted and you actually needed to take time off before you went back to it?
Sadly, yes. Yeah. I used to pride myself on, I was like, I love volume. I love volume. Well, like volume led to 2 hip surgeries about 12 years ago, and like a torn labrum in my hip. And then I had another vascular issue that required surgery. And I don't, who's to say if that's just the way my body's built or whether those are overuse injuries. I don't know, but it certainly sidelined me for a couple of years. And
Yeah.
so yes. So I do think pushing too hard and too far led to some of that breakdown in my body and in my biomechanics. And I remember very vividly at the time saying, God, if I could just jog again, like if I could just do a little easy itty bitty jog again, like I will be so grateful. And, unfortunately I'm on granite, knock on granite, that I was able to come back from both of those, and uh, without any residual pain or issues. And so I feel very blessed, because that doesn't always happen when you're coming back from especially hip surgeries and anything in that
Yeah.
pelvic region. But I did come back with a wild sense of gratitude. I just love to be outside as much as possible. And so, yes, it did change. It did lead to some issues for sure.
Yeah, I feel like it's a common thing for a lot of endurance athlete, and it's,
Mhm.
it's I'm not saying I have to push people away, because obviously I really love the sport, and it's the, I don't know for you, but it's the racing part that I enjoy. It's not like I'm trying to beat my time or anything. This year my philosophy to racing has changed. I just did a Spartan race with Ivy,
Mhm.
and just like for the fun of it, right? I'm like, I'm just gonna wait for her. We'll do obstacle, like, just for fun and not for time. And that was my
Yeah.
first race in my life that I've ever done that. And I got to the race. I wasn't anxious, I didn't have to, like, I wasn't worried about the race. And it was more like, it's early in the morning, the sun is rising, and you're
Yes.
outdoors, it's fresh air, you're in a mountain somewhere. I was like, oh, that's the part that I miss about racing, right? It's that the environment that's great. And then once you start, then yeah, if you want to try to do for time or just for fun, but yeah, it's that morning time for me that just gets me. I'm like, I want to do more of this.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because I vacillate back and forth because I've also like I love the training part of it. I Even if I didn't have anything on my racing calendar, I would still swim, bike, and run multiple times a week. And because
Yeah.
I like the way that the variety that the swim, biking, and running, and now strength and yoga, which my husband and I also do. But like I I like the way that the variety of exercises and training like makes me feel like a quote unquote complete athlete. So I'm
Yeah.
not just running 7 days a week, breaking my body down. I'm not just on the
Yeah.
bike where you're getting, you're in one position,
Yeah.
and it's usually crouched over, and that's where I think a lot of some hip issues came from. But I like the swimming aspect. I'm not a great swimmer. You're a great swimmer. I'm a mid pack. Like at best, I will come out mid
Yeah.
pack.
I get out of
Um,
there. I don't want to be
uh,
with you guys. It's too much
I
hitting happening in there.
I'm in the washing machine from start to finish. There's no question.
Yeah.
I could swim 7 days a week maximum for 2 hours at a time. And I don't, trust me. And like, I will
Yeah.
never progress on my swimming. It's just like, I miss something in the mechanics that just keeps me right at that like mid pack
Well,
level. And
hey,
I'm
to
okay
be
with that.
frank, God blessed me with massive hands and feet. Like, I
Yeah.
literally have permanent paddles on me. So that's the only reason I'm fast, is because I have these.
Okay. Cause I'm like 5'1" on a tall day, and tiny hands, tiny wrists. That's what I'm going to use. That's my excuse from now on. But in any event,
Yeah.
like Yeah, I like the fact that the variety of the training gives me something to look forward to every day too, because I know like today was a bike day and tomorrow's another run day and strength day, and so I actually like to mix it up a little bit. And but the race day, I have I go back and forth. Like I never wake up on race day not with some certain sense of like fight or flight. Like I think we
Yeah.
all do. Like I wake, especially when you've got a long day ahead of you on those half Ironmans and those full Ironmans. I've done 7 full Ironmans, and you wake up at 3 in the morning and you're choking down a bagel and you're choking down your food. And you're like, in
Yeah.
your brain, you're like, I am not going to be done until 7, 8,
Tonight.
nine
Yeah.
o'clock tonight. Like I'm gonna get in
Yeah.
the water at 7 a.m. and I can't stop. And like
Yeah.
that's a heavy load on race day. But the second that gun goes off and you start swimming and you just settle in, then you're like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. But oh yeah, I wake up on race morning. I don't care how beautiful it is. Like I wake up going, oh, I'd rather just be in bed right now. Please let me just
Yeah.
stay in bed. But no, not it's not my DNA.
Yeah. I love the training for triathlon. It doesn't make, I like the athletic feel of the body. You know, when you have
Mhm.
stamina and you're able to push and able to run, like I like that feeling of tightness and athleticism versus like
Yes.
being big and bulky.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
telling Ivy, I'm like, man, if there's a zombie apocalypse, those bodybuilders are screwed. We can outrun them, we can outswim them, we can outbike them. I'm like, we're gonna survive. And
So true.
and I was telling Ivy, I was like, oh, we were training to do a marathon at the end of the year. And I was like, man, I don't need to be able to run a marathon. Right. I was like, if there's a zombie apocalypse, like I have to wait for you. So what's the point of me being this fast? Like I still got to carry you. You know what I mean? We're so screwed. So I'm like, you need to make sure that you're able to run so we can keep up with each other.
Yes, make her do the marathon. Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I for all of those things, and I will say too, to circle back, that is another reason why I wanted to work with Fit Vegan, or any, at the time it was any structured strength program, but I like the Fit Vegan just because of all the things that I mentioned before. But I also just I needed I hate this because it's taking ownership away from me, but like I just like to be told what to do on the strength end of it. Um,
Yeah.
that is a program that I just knew I couldn't put together myself properly in order to still allow me to swim, bike, run. Um,
Yeah.
so that's another thing. It was like it knowing that I
Yeah.
could talk to you or Sarah, Coach Sarah, and just sort of talk through like here's my training schedule. Like where can I fit my strength in?
Yeah.
And we've made it work.
Yeah. Well, let me reframe that for you. I don't think it's taking power away from you. I think it's just here's how I say it. It's just you being smart, right? Like
Mhm.
at the end of the day, every time I have a goal and I don't necessarily have the right tools or knowledge or skills to kind of get that goal, I'm gonna go hire someone that has the answer. And then that way I don't have to make mistakes. I don't have to figure anything out. They just tell me and I learn through doing it the right way the first time. I'm
Right.
not a fan of like trial and error for like 5 years and then I could have just hired someone that did it for me in like a few months, like it
Yeah.
seems like a
Yeah.
waste of time. I'd rather spend my time with Ivy. I'd rather go on vacation with that additional time, right? I'd rather do other
Right.
things. So it's just a smart
Yes.
move on your side.
I agree. Yeah. When I used to coach athletes, they would just say, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And
Yeah.
I don't like that. I mean, I understand the sentiment behind it because I feel that way, but like, I want athletes like myself and anyone that I would work with, I want them to feel empowered, not just to
Yeah.
be told what to do. Like I want them to understand why they're doing it. I want them to feel empowered to ask questions, to even make
Yeah.
revisions if you have to. Like I have had to make revisions on my strength training schedule, no doubt. Like the way it's written doesn't always work out perfectly. Like life isn't a spreadsheet. And so,
Yeah.
shoot, I couldn't get to the gym on Monday. Well, let me start shifting things around. And it's great to have the autonomy and to do that and to feel empowered to know what to do in that situation.
Yeah. Well, so let's dive into your journey. Like, how has it been for you for the past few months, and what kind of results have you noticed for yourself?
Um, Great question. So we're about to kick off February is where we're at right now. And basically December 1 for all intents and purposes was sort of my first month. I think I
Yeah.
got onboarded at like after Thanksgiving or right around Thanksgiving. And so I didn't really start the programming until December 1. So only 2 months in at this point. And, um, I will say, like, I think I'm still trying to figure it all out. So I definitely am feeling stronger in my body. I'm definitely feeling more durable in my body. There are times where if I am doing like I don't know a lat pull down or something, and I'm happen to be wearing a tank. If I catch myself in the mirror, I'm like, damn, nice. Like I
Yeah. Look at these
see
muscles.
yes, I see some aesthetic changes there. However,
Yeah.
when I take my photographs, which I've only done like 3 times, like I don't it's hard. It's hard because one of the things that just for people who might be listening and thinking about it, one of the things that I'll say require, but I don't you probably don't require it, but it's very important is to take regular photographs of yourself. And
Yeah.
that's torture. That's torture for anyone, really, um, because I've done it now 3 times where you take a front, a side, and a back view, and
Yeah.
I haven't like when I look at the photos, like I'm not noticing any changes like in the photographs per se, but I'm also not paying attention to lighting. I'm also not, there's a lot of things.
I looked at them
But
before we started.
yeah,
You
yeah.
you see some photo from your front and your side one on them.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
the reason why we do them, and again, just for people listening, like we don't use publicly people's photo unless they give us permission
Mhm.
to, right?
Right,
So
right,
like
right,
we wouldn't use your photos if you wouldn't want to. But from a coach standpoint, is let's just say the scale doesn't move for 2 weeks,
right.
but then we can look at your photos and we can see that there's a clear shift in body composition. Then like we know that we don't need to cut more food, right? Like your body is
Right.
clearly changing. You're putting muscle and losing fat at the same rate ultimately.
Yes, yes.
But the other part is you see yourself every day. And so once you
Right.
get into like month 3 and month 4, that's when you kind of notice like bigger visual changes on the photos. And you're like, damn, this is what I look like before. So you kind of appreciate having the before photos once you get to the end.
Yes.
In between, you're like, maybe something there, maybe something there. But yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's hard because we're all self-critical and like it's just tough. Again, coming from a background where I was overweight and I got made fun of a lot as a kid and a teenager, to even just stand in a sports bra and shorts is intimidating for me. And I know it shouldn't be, but it is. And so I think that's
It is
actually
for me too sometimes. So I get it.
yeah, yeah, and I actually so I'll frame it up in a positive way in that like if it's something that people are dreading, it's one more hard thing that we have to do. And I think every time I now as I'm getting because I'm getting ready to take another round of photos, um, I'm like this is part of the deal. It's just it makes you stronger. Anytime you do something that's hard for you, the
Yeah.
more reps you put in, the easier it becomes.
Yeah.
And so I think it's actually inadvertently it's actually part of the self-esteem building part of the program. So I will say that yes, like the way your programming works for people, at least the way mine is working, I'm sure that this is similar to everyone. We're essentially on the same program for like a month for about 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And
Long enough to
and
see some changes. Yeah.
yes, and so you do and the way mine is written is like you've got me in the gym 4 days a week, and these aren't 4 2-hour days. These are like 30 to 45 minutes. And if I'm putzing around, yeah, it's an hour, whatever. But like in general, like you're not in the gym all day long. And so two of those sessions per week are generally like an upper body focus, and then the other two are generally a lower body focus. And so right, the way mine is written, it's like Monday is lower body, Tuesday's upper body, Wednesday is a non-gym day. Thursday's lower body, Friday's upper body, and Saturday and Sunday are like general movement, and you're not necessarily in the gym. So what I like about that is like I still have 3 days that aren't gym days that I can play around with. And if I do miss a gym day, then I can slot things in and
Move it around. Yeah.
move it around. And so you do that for 4 weeks, and then the exercises change for the next month. I am just now starting my third round of different exercises.
Yeah.
And some of the movements are new to me, a lot of them aren't. But like a lot of the cable machines are new.
Yeah.
um, Even dumbbell bench press, things like that, that might be like an incline dumbbell bench press, like some of that's new to me.
Yeah.
And there's the intimidation factor of going to the gym and having to sit next to you know joe meathead next to me who's like grunting, and I'm just like, oh, come on, dude, really. um
Yeah.
but like once you get over that initial fear, like I actually feel way more empowered now than I did 3 months ago to go into the weight room of my particular gym and just take up space. Like that's,
Yeah.
as a woman in her 50s, and as women in general, we have been trained to not take up space in life and to be small, in every way, right? Quiet, tiny,
Yeah.
petite, don't be obnoxious, don't be this, don't be that. um, but it's awesome to walk into a weight room and pull up right out of squat rack or at a machine and just owning that space. And
Yeah.
having this regular program has really helped me with that. So it's funny,
Yeah.
like I came for the body, the body composition transformation, but I'm leaving with like some of these intangibles that I didn't really anticipate, which was like that self-esteem aspect of like, heck yeah, I belong in the gym.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
feel that you having a plan and knowing what you're going to do once you come into the gym and having certainty of like, great, next I'm doing this machine, next I'm doing this exercise. Do you feel that's helped with your level of comfortability in the gym?
Absolutely, without question. Yeah, because I think we can all relate to this on some certain level of like you go into the gym, and whether you're at the machines, um, or whether you're at a squat rack or whatever, you're just walking around the weight room going, I guess I'll do some bicep curls. Okay, and you do like 10
Yeah.
bicep curls, and then you're like, okay, let me go to the hamstring curls, and you don't really know, there's no structure. And so
Yeah.
to have my app on my phone and to hit start on that day's workout, and you're keeping track of every set you do, you're keeping track of how many reps that you do within that set, and when it's appropriate, you're keeping track of how much weight you're using. And what I've enjoyed, and it's just like the gamification obviously, but like
Yeah.
anytime or any week I go up in weight in something and I mark that, you get like the big thumbs up from the app that's like, you lifted 5,000 more pounds this month than you did or whatever. You get these
Yeah.
fun metrics that are like, you increased your weight by 50%. And it's motivating. It really is motivating.
Yeah.
So yes, I've definitely seen the benefits. From a from a weight on the scale perspective, I have been steady. It has been, and I say that proudly because we went through Christmas and New Year's, uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
and like everything kind of stayed status quo on that. I'm not generally a big partier. Like I don't go bonkers really ever on stuff, but so the weight on the scale has remained steady. But that, honestly, Maxim, like that wasn't really like my goal. Like, yes, okay, if
Goal
there's
was
if
more
there's some fat
strength when you
loss, it
came
was more
in.
strength and like
Yeah.
body composition change, and not necessarily like a lot of fat loss. Like if there's fat to lose, great, that's great. But like I didn't come to, I don't have a ton of like weight, quote unquote, on the scale to
Yeah.
lose. So it really was. And so even if the scale goes up a little bit, I'm like, I can attribute that to just like gaining some strength. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, I fluctuate in the same like 2 to 3 pounds, since the beginning. Um, the eating aspect of it, which is obviously very important, is
Yeah.
something
This is a
that,
game changer.
yeah, and maybe we can talk a little bit about that too, of just like, it's hard to find where I have not tracked as well as I should isn't necessarily the protein, because I think right now, my program says like around 85 grams of protein is what you want me to get in a
Yeah.
day, and that's actually not as high as I thought you would have me, quite honestly,
Yeah.
because everything I'm reading now is like, a gram per pound or two
Yeah.
grams of protein per kilogram of body weight.
Yeah. You don't need that
So
much.
yeah, I was actually surprised that, that it was only 85. And so even being on a plant-based diet, I have not had an issue with hitting the protein requirements of the day. Where I haven't tracked as much, is my actual caloric intake,
Yeah.
because I do so much other training that it's really hard to to go into a cut, so to speak,
Yeah.
um, and still perform at the other stuff. So I'd love to get your thoughts
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah, and that's why we do training and nutrition differently for everyone depending on their goal, right? And so for you, a big part of it was gaining some strength without necessarily losing some performance. And
Hmm.
so we know that if we are to put you in a drastic calorie deficit, that would drive the scale to go down a lot faster than kind of what's been happening. The performance definitely gets affected, right? Because you have a really high energy output, and the whole concept is to have less energy come in than what you're putting out. But if the
Yes.
goal is to build strength and continue to like have good performance and increase performance, we can't really be in that big of a deficit, because then we'd
Right.
be too severely under fueling for the amount of output that we have, and then performance would be affected over time. And so when we're training someone for strength and performance, we're pretty much going to hover around maintenance, maybe a slight deficit, and we'll kind of play with the proportions of the food. But ultimately, the emphasis is like, hey, let's build some lean muscle, let's increase the strength, and let's keep the performance up. So basically, what it means is that it does shift your body composition, but just in a slower manner than if we were to do like just pure fat loss and there's no performance aspect to a pure fat loss, right? Because
Yeah.
if I put someone else in like a 400 calorie deficit, for example, and they want to lose 20 pounds, if they're just strength training 3, 4 times a week and they're working their job, they don't need the extra glycogen to be able like, yeah, I'm sprinting at work or whatever, but for you, you're doing a lot outside, right, in terms of
Yeah.
additional endurance training. So yeah, that's why the weight loss is basically when you do more of like a maintenance slight calorie deficit, the number scale won't really budge too much, because you're basically losing fat pretty much at the same rate that you're building muscle. So over
Mm-hmm.
time, if you lose 1 pound of fat and you've put on 1 pound of muscle, then technically the scale won't move, right? But there is a
Right.
shift
Right.
in body composition. So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
it's more challenging to do like, to be honest, it's impossible to go for a really rapid fat loss and keep performance up. Like it's a
Yes.
choice that you have to make between the two of them. And so that's why we tell people that don't have an endurance background like you, that are like, hey, it would be great after I've lost the weight, because now we're able to
Right.
do the fat loss, do the reverse dieting. Now they're eating more food and they're lean, and then it's like, hey, let's just push the performance, your body can handle it.
Yeah. 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 And
Yeah.
if there was ever a time where, yeah, I was like, if I was to say, Maxim, all right, I'm not gonna swim, bike, run. I'm not gonna do any other, aside from like
Yeah.
maybe walking and getting some steps in, or easy zone one kind of stuff. Like that
Yeah.
would probably be the prime time to do like
uh,
a little
yeah, yeah,
deficit. But yeah, but that was not it, as I stated at the beginning. That wasn't really a massive goal as much as it was just to build some strength, develop a routine that I like, that's fun, that I get to change up, that's like dynamic,
Yeah.
and getting to know the equipment in the gym, because I am using, tools for the first time. And so it has so far achieved all of those things. And I do feel,
Yeah.
anecdotally, I feel stronger. I haven't taken, I haven't done the DEXA scan or anything like that, like to really give you measurements or numbers, but perhaps I will here in the next couple of months.
Yeah. And you can
Just
see,
to,
we can see the weight increase on your exercises on the app as well, right?
yeah,
And,
yeah,
I want to commend you for taking your photos and doing your check-ins and doing the weigh-in. I think that the best, as much as it can be confronting sometimes, I think it's necessary in the way that we'll just kind of use finances as an example. If your goal is to pay off your debt, limit your spending, and save money for a house, for example, well, if you don't really look at your bank account, like how can you have an idea of where you're at, right?
mm,
And so taking your photos, doing your weigh-ins, and looking at your body fat, that's you looking at your bank account of like, hey,
yeah,
are we on track with the game plan that we've set for ourselves?
yeah,
Yes, great. Let's continue. No, okay, let's make some adjustments, right? And so, yeah, it's just it is confronting because sometimes, depending on which season you're at in your life, you look at your bank account, you're like, damn, okay, I wish it was a little bit better.
yeah,
But you know
yeah.
what you need
Whoops.
to do to make it better, right? Once you've
Right.
seen it. Yeah.
Right, right, right. No, I've really, it it's been a fun exploration so far. And like I said, I'm just going into month 3. And a lot of it too is just, it's really great for my endurance stuff, because some of the stuff that I'm doing right now this month is like monster walks with a band, or like hip
Yeah.
abduction stuff, which is really great accessory work for an endurance athlete. And so it's not just going in and like doing bicep curls, which are great,
Yeah.
which I've done, but building in some of that accessory work where you're like, oh, I know I should be doing this, but I don't want to. But when I see it on my calendar and I see it on my plan, I'm like, well, I gotta do it. I gotta do it. And you always feel better when you're done.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know this,
Yeah.
like from being an endurance athlete, and for anyone listening that is considering it as maybe a little bit of more of a beginner, you and I know that the thing that prevents you from like finishing a race faster is never your lungs. It's always your freaking
Right.
legs. Your legs just
Right.
give out, right? And so
Yeah.
strength training is so beneficial in terms of helping you go faster and longer and harder and be able to have better time. It's never your lungs that are going to slow you down from finishing a race, unless you're maybe like sprinting a 400-meter or something. But even there,
Right.
yeah, it was still going to be your legs, because the lactic acid's going to build up from a sprint. So the leg muscles are the priority. So if you train them and you increase your strength like you're doing, it makes your time a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I like being a good example for non plant-based athletes. And no judgment. I don't judge anyone's moral character, whether they are vegan or
Oh, I
not, like
do. No,
that.
I'm just
Oh
kidding.
yeah, yeah,
I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
yeah. But I mean, but if nothing, I like to show by way of example that
Yeah.
that we can be strong and powerful, and that we can perform well, and we can recover well. And I'm not a sickly looking person by any stretch of the imagination. And I'm going on 16 years now of living and eating this way. And I just, like, my body feels almost as good as it ever has. Like, I'll say almost, just because there's always something, but like, um, and am I as fast? Well, I am faster than I was in my 20s, because I wasn't fit in my 20s, and I wasn't
Yeah.
doing all this stuff. But like, but to still have the passion for it, I think is important too. And I think our plant-based diet helps with that too, because
Yes, definitely.
eating foods that are alive and that bring life, um, kind of carries over into our whole day. Like, it really carries over into so much of our health and our life and the way I view the earth. And I just you feel alive when you're eating things that are from the ground and from the earth. And yeah, I mean, I can't stress that part enough too. And I just try to live by example with regard to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not I'm not in, I think I do activism, but a different way that a lot of people do it. Like you won't see me in the streets doing
Right.
any of this stuff. I think everyone has their different way of doing it. To me, it's always been just leading by example. And
Yep.
when I realized that that was my way of inspiring and impacting other people, then through coaching you and all the people that we've coached, like you are having an impact in your community. Every member that
Yep.
we coach is having an impact in the community and being that shining example of what it looks like to be healthy and to be fit on a plant-based lifestyle.
Yep, exactly.
Right.
And I'm with you. Like I'm the same type of activist. I think thank God we need them all. We need all
Yeah,
types of
for
people
sure.
with voices in every area of the agenda that we all have to get people to eat more plants and less animals. Um, but I'm with you. Like I want to do it by way of just living my life as authentically as I can and as compassionately, but also, you know, when I go out with friends, um, I like make fun of myself. I'm very self-deprecating when it comes to like eating out with people because I will be like at the restaurants, I'll be the one that's like, okay, if you could help, I'm like the creepy vegan over here, and so if there's a way we can, you know, like I'm it just like it takes the armor off of everybody else too, and
Yeah.
and it makes it fun and approachable, and yeah, so
Yeah.
what
I go both
I just
ways.
love it.
I
Do you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can be funny about it, but I can be super confronting, especially when it's someone that is like smoking, over 300 pounds, telling me that it's
yeah.
stupid to eat vegan. I'm like, now
I
who runs Ironmans and has a six pack and is, has all these health benefits? So I can, depending on who pokes the bear, basically, I can be confronting or I can be really nice about it. Like I'll joke, I'll just be like, hey, I will have a bowl of fresh cut grass with a side of tree bark, please. And then
yes,
they always laugh.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah. No, and like, you know, you live your life in the public eye way more than I do. Like I don't care to be a brand. I don't care to
Yeah,
had that phase in my life, and so you have to confront a lot of public opinion because you've made
for
yourself a
sure.
public figure.
I'm
And so of course
branded,
you're going to
right?
get that. Yes.
I
Yes.
have my
So of
Fit
course you're
Vegan
going to get
Athlete shirt. I got all that. And even, Ivy was funny. We went to the gym the other day and she's wearing like our new Fit Vegan Athlete hat, which you
Yep.
have, and a
I wear.
t-shirt.
Yep. Yep.
And then I didn't have any Fit Vegan clothes on me. And she's like, I'm representing Fit Vegan way more than you do. I was like, hey, it's tattooed inside my arm. Even if I don't have clothes, I'm still branded, So like I
Yeah.
still just need to flex the bicep and yeah, I'm covered.
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, I'm it's so interesting because you'll see me do like shoulder presses or pull-ups at the gym and people will, yeah, I can tell with their head they're doing like this as I'm moving my arm. They're trying to read what's
Really?
inside my arm. Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love
So,
that. I love that. It is kind of funny if I'm wearing like the Fit Vegan hat. I've had one person make a comment about it, not in a derogatory way, but you know,
yeah.
just more of an inquisitive way, which I love. But yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm really like it. It has ignited curiosity in me, and I
Yeah.
think that that's important for anyone in their journey of life, whether it's a work journey or a fitness journey, relationship journey. Like as much as you can approach something with just curiosity, and and if you don't get it right, who cares? You know, like we're all going to mess up. We're all going to miss
A lot.
workouts. We're all,
Yeah.
yeah, we're all going to try to figure out like, you know, if I'm doing a new move for the first time in the weight room, like I don't know what weight I should start at. And so I might spend 10 minutes just trying to figure out like what feels hard or doable. And so I think some people get intimidated by that or they get frustrated and they're like, ugh, I'm so weak. Um,
Yeah.
you know, I couldn't do any of it and they give up. And it's just like, no, just don't give up. You know, I think that's the big takeaway for me is like keep searching and keep being curious because you will find something that you like. I mean, and you will find the programming. And that's one thing too, is like in the monthly calls with Sarah, who's one of your coaches, she's great about listening to, all right, what worked this past month, what didn't work, what what would you like to see more of, what would you, you know, so it's not a dictatorship per se. even though you
Yeah.
have clear understanding of what should be next, like it, there we have empowerment to have a two-way conversation about like, ooh, I'd like to see more of this, or I really enjoyed this. And so yeah, so just be curious.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. I'm happy you enjoyed the program. And, I was going to ask you, like, what would be your piece of advice for people that are just starting the program? But I think what you shared is great, right? It's kind of just more like trusting kind of how the
Yeah.
whole process goes.
Yeah, and as I'm finding out by just my own personal experience, is just give it time, because I mean, it's not like I said, I don't see any changes in those photographs. I haven't I haven't seen any changes on the scale per se. So you could look at those two data points and be like, well, this isn't working or whatever. But that's not the whole story. The whole story is that I know I'm getting stronger because I can see it, and I'm marking it down every time I lift more weights. I'm becoming way more confident in that space that women don't generally feel confident in. And I found something new that I enjoy. And I know that the body composition stuff, like I said, sometimes I'll catch myself in the mirror and I'll be like, boom, like I do see it. Uh,
Yeah.
but and it's only been 8 weeks. And as we said, because of all the other stuff that I'm doing, I'm still, I wouldn't say that I'm in any kind of like a deficit calorically. If anything, I'm probably in a little overage situation calorically.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
You're
it's all
eating
right.
well, which is important.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, 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 yes. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Carrie, I kind of, well, first of all, I want to say I appreciate you for being authentic and for being open and sharing your story with us. I always like to end on words of wisdom. So, is there anything that you'd like to kind of share with the audience? It doesn't have to be about health and fitness. Like I know people have lived different life experiences. I'm always curious to hear what would come out.
Um, I'm gonna I'm gonna borrow something that I actually just heard yesterday. Well, two things. One, we like to say at Plant Strong, which is I do work with Rip now, and one of the things that we like to say is you are worth the work. And that's especially meant for people who are really struggling to transition to a whole food plant based diet, and there's a lot of blockages there that we all come to the table with, but like you are worth the work. And I would say that in this context of starting a strength program. And then the other thing that I heard yesterday was a quote by an actress who just won a Primetime Emmy. And her acceptance speech was she was talking about how she has, uh, as an actor, she needs to have self esteem, because it's not like you're the one that got you here. Like
Mhm.
I'm the one that reached out to you. I'm the one that did the schedule the onboarding call. Like I that is self-esteem to me. We don't call it other steam. We don't call it
Yeah.
it belongs to somebody else steam. It's self-esteem. And it's because no one can do the work except for you. And
Yeah.
so I would just say if you're on the fence, do the next step, because that will get that, just those little things will give you self-esteem.
Beautiful. Great, great words to end on. So, Kara, I say a big thank you for jumping on the show. For everyone listening, if you enjoyed the episode, be sure to share it with someone that would benefit from it. If you're watching on YouTube and you have any questions, you can ask them in the comment section below. And if you're on podcast, just head over to Instagram or Facebook. I'd be happy to answer those for you. Gary, thank you for jumping on, and we'll see everyone in the next episode. Bye.
My pleasure.